This week, you and the Albuquerque DA, Sam Bregman, stumped for earlier and stiffer penalties for kids who commit violent crimes, saying if we don't lock them up, then we're just going to have more juvenile crime. But there's also evidence showing that about 80% of those kids are going to reoffend and get arrested within the next 3 years. Are you worried that putting more kids in detention is basically paying for them to get a PhD in juvenile delinquency?
Well, if you're not worried about it and you don't read that evidence, then you're not paying attention. But we're in this sort of interesting juxtaposition. When they're released and they've murdered someone, they typically murder again. If they're in detention, they're exposed to other murderers. I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. So why don't we do both things at once? Why don't we improve our detention system? Why does it have to be the way that it was? Why can't we have smaller environments? Why can't I have more programming, evidence-based, that does everything it can to restore kids to a meaningful place? Because that's the whole point. I don't want them, as D.A. Bregman said, to turn 18 and now they're going to go to prison for life. Because what we're seeing in New Mexico is they're not stopping. And none of the school programs or family interventions are stemming this. And the amount of guns that these kids have and automatic weapons and the amount of shooting they do every day out of cars, on campuses, in parking lots, in neighborhoods is stunning. The violence is stunning. And if there's no accountability, I guarantee you they will do more. I wish I never had to lock up anyone. I don't think that our restorative programs around this country have produced the things that we intended them to. But I have some proud, good moments, like we lead the country in getting folks GEDs and education and back into the workforce. I still don't like some of those transitions out of jail and detention. I don't. We need more mid-school programming. That's a great prevention. The Guard's got some really terrific challenge programs. We ran one at John Adams. We're going to do at least 5 more mid-schools. Every single one of those mid-schoolers who typically they lose, they never go back to school, and they're in trouble, all went back to school. And so I think that has, why aren't I running those programs inside detention? Smaller, more meaningful, lots more attention. And you know what else? A lot more behavioral health that's evidence-based and strategic, not sort of this. Do you remember the thing I used to get all mad about, that we'd reimburse nursing homes for what I called wave therapy, and so a physical therapist would come in and wave at all the residents and bill for everyone? We need behavioral health providers. They've gotten a bad rap in our state. The last administration did not do right by them. But when everything is easy telehealth, and it's one size fits all, I don't know that we're really getting to the heart of the issues that need the attention. I can do both, and the truth of the matter is this: we must. We must do both.
One Republican state senator is considering a proposal that would make it a capital crime to sell fentanyl to someone who then dies of an overdose. So that the bill would make it punishable by life in prison. Another GOP bill would add years onto the sentence of someone convicted of selling more than about 2 pounds of fentanyl. At the same time, President Biden just pardoned a whole bunch of people who were in prison, having received disproportionate offenses because they sold crack instead of powder cocaine, right? So
pendulum swift, right back to where we started.
Has the situation gotten so bad that we're back to the war on drugs?
I don't believe that the war on drugs has ever had a credible impact, and the people who want to sell drugs already have the next fentanyl plus ready to go on the market. Every time we focus on one and we name it, another one comes, and then it's not a crime. I think the way that we address fentanyl on the changing the criminal code side is we really don't keep people incarcerated, which is awful. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about that we have a problem, I don't want these problems. No one does. But if you're a drug dealer and someone dies of an overdose, I think that you should be responsible for that death. That's a whole different sentencing criteria. I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in the RICO bill that also really gets at drug trafficking. I think these are more meaningful measures. But I want to say, because it's true, I have now moved in favor of more time behind bars for serious felony crimes. Because when you're out in 5 years or 7 years, I have all the data that shows that you immediately reoffend. So again, I need to be doing a better job. We all do, right? Whatever we're doing in prisons across America and we over-incarcerate doesn't seem to work. But two, if you're right back out, they all reoffend. And what about those people who are victimized? If you're in for another 7 years, the one thing I can guarantee you is that I won't have a victim in those additional 7 years. And we have a significant violent crime issue and a significant gun issue. So we got to get at that. So those are two I favor better than so far one way that it's not going to get what we need. Right size, smart, and including the evidence where we're not getting it right and embedding those in these strategies, I think is the right recipe for New Mexico right now.
The other day, you cited a statistic saying that since 2017, more than 18,000 criminal cases have been dismissed because of competency. And again, you find yourself here slightly to the right of your party on these issues. It's a little bit of an awkward position.
Is it?
What? Well, not for me.
Not for me.
What's your best argument for forcing people to get treatment?
Well, that it is the only way for a select group to get them the help that they need. Look, we just had a loss of life in an officer-involved shooting just this last weekend in Albuquerque for a gentleman in an apartment who I'm sure was given, and deserved it, a voucher, because having trouble and living on the streets and recycling through any number of things, but who had an incredibly violent history. No guardrails, no required treatment. And how did that end? We're lucky that another innocent person living at that apartment didn't die. And quite frankly, we're really lucky that officer didn't die. It is horrific enough that a man with a serious mental health issue had nowhere to be or go, and that was the only option. So I'm going to start to provide, and maybe I can do another interview with you. Look, I've got cases where we've done it right, where a judge has made a 9-month commitment. They meet the current standards, but they're just too narrow. And I've got a case for a guy named Walter, who needed that commitment. He was going to kill himself or others, and he came out of that commitment. And he will say, I'm well for the first time in my life. I'm on the right services and the right medication, and I feel like I can participate with my family and community. Will every result be so good? Probably not. But we're not getting close. And I talk to someone who's unhoused, many. Every single day. I stop every single day somewhere. And I always offer, what services can I help? Do you need shelter? Do you need clothes? Do you need food? Do you want my number? Could I ever find you? Could I call you? Worried about you? Should I be worried? Just try to start. 1,000% of the time, no one has asked me for anything that creates something more permanent in their lives. I got asked for hearing aids. I provided them. I got asked for some dental care and glasses. I provided that. I couldn't get them into housing or shelter. It took me 7 months to get a lovely woman in a small community with an 11-year-old out of their car. Didn't trust us, very nervous. What did it mean? That's a long time. Now, she does not qualify under any circumstances for commitment. Not significantly mentally ill, no danger to herself or her child. But it is hard to get people to say, I might need a little behavioral health support. They aren't checking themselves in anywhere. They're not going to the triage center. I'm picking you up after a 911 call and taking you there. They are not walking in. We have 150 open beds. So we are not going to overcommit. We should never over-incarcerate, but every tool should meet the appropriate circumstance. And to say that it doesn't at all creates chaos. And that is where I think New Mexico is.